everyone. I just wanted to sit down and take a minute to share my UBAM story. In 2014, I was a blogger. I had been doing that for almost a decade. About 4 or 5 years of that, I was doing it professionally as a work-at-home mom. It was enough to cover, partial portions of extracurricular activities, or to put towards homeschool materials, or just little things like that. And my husband has always been the main breadwinner, many years the only breadwinner in our family, because when our second child was born, we decided as a family that it was really important to us for me to remain at home. And so in 2014, which was the year that I joined the company, my husband worked in a factory as he worked maintenance on machinery. It's a lot of difficult things, and he made a decent income, but he was still just a blue-collar guy, and he had to work overtime almost all of the time in order to support us. If he didn't work overtime, we really could feel it. It was required to have overtime in order just to meet our basic needs, and we've always been very frugal. Once we made the decision for me to stay at home, for 9 years we lived as a one-vehicle family. When I first joined Usborne, we lived in a 2-bedroom house that was 900 square feet and 1 bathroom, and when we first moved into the house, we only had 2 children, but by the time I joined Usborne, we had 4, so there were 6 of us living in that house, and it was a little cramped, I won't lie, but we were doing what we had to do in order to maintain the lifestyle that we wished to have. We wanted me at home with the children, and we wanted to homeschool them. And so we just did what we had to do. We didn't have cable for a long time. We didn't even have cell phones. I couponed, all of those kinds of things. And so, pinching pennies was nothing new to us. And that fall, a blogging friend of mine, who was my sponsor, Jackie Four, approached me and told me that she had joined Usborne. And she mentioned the opportunity to me, and I was like, I really just don't have time. And so the wheels kind of turned, but I wasn't really at a place ready to sign up yet. And so I said, oh, well, thanks for giving me the information, and maybe I'll look into it later. And I think it was just a few weeks or a month or so later, she contacted me again in September of that year to tell me that Usborne was running a $25 kit special on their mini kit. And I started to think about it, and I was like, well, worst case scenario, it was only $25. And while $25 was a lot of money to us then, we never spent more than $1 or $2, honestly, without discussing it with each other, because money was that tight. We lived paycheck to paycheck, and every dime that came into the house was accounted for some way, somehow. And so, but I thought, it's better if this doesn't work out to have lost $25 than $100 or so. And I didn't really even view it as a loss, because even if it didn't work out as far as me earning money, I still got lots of great books in the kit, and we could always use those as homeschoolers. And so I decided to make the jump, and I never really intended for it to be a career. I thought at best, if things went really well and excellent, then I'd be lucky and I could make maybe $200 or $300 a month, and that would really help, so that my husband didn't have to work 60, 70, 80 hours every single week, because we missed him. We have young children. I have 5 children. My oldest is only 10. She'll be 11 soon. And there's stair-steps after that, and we missed him. He worked very long and very hard, and while we appreciated the efforts that he put in to support us, sometimes you really just want your husband around more, and for him to not be bone dog tired when he is. But, so I jumped in. And it was about 2 weeks before I even had a launch party, because I was really busy with other things. And when I finally ran my launch party, it was not, anything spectacular. It did okay. It had, I think, just over $200 in sales, which isn't bad. It's pretty decent. But it wasn't, I've heard of launch parties that were upwards of $1,000 or more. And so it wasn't, blow the door down exciting, but it kind of got me thinking, hey, maybe this can work out a little bit. But more than the sales, I got several bookings from people who attended. And I thought, okay, well, this is fun. I had always avoided sales. I have done retail here and there, but I always moved on to other things because I don't like being that pushy person. I'm very introverted, and as a shopper, I cannot stand for salespeople to approach me. I will come to you if I need help. That's the kind of shopper that I am. And so I really struggled with that. And how am I going to even attempt to do this without pushing people? And so I figured I'd just kind of figure it out along the way. So I started to host parties with those who had booked from mine, and then I got more bookings from them and more bookings from them, and it sort of started to steamroll, and things started to get kind of exciting. And my team leader approached me and said, "Hey, why don't you think about promoting to team leader, because things seem to be going pretty well." And I looked at that WIOS sheet, the Write Your Own Success Story, and I remember thinking, this lady is crazy. She's nuts. There's no way I'm selling $1,000 or $2,000 worth of merchandise in a month or 2 or 3. And I'm a little stubborn, and I'm very competitive with myself, and so I'm like, I'm just going to prove her wrong, because she kept insisting that I could do it, and I was like, no way, it's just not possible. So I was like, well, let's just see what happens. And so I submitted my team leader application, and I never expected at all for anything to come with it, but things started to progress, and I got a recruit. My very first recruit signed up telling me from the beginning that she was not going to work. She did not want to sell. She just wanted the kit, and she wanted to be able to offer her friends and family parties if they ever approached her. And I kept having parties, and it's a misconception. A lot of people have told me, or I've heard other people say about other members of my team who also were bloggers, that we found success easily because we blogged, and so we know lots and lots and lots of people, but that's wrong. It really is. I have held parties on my blog's Facebook page. I don't blog anymore. I've since shut that down because this is more my focus now, but even then, I got a couple of bookings from that, and a few parties, and 1 or 2 recruits from my blog. In fact, one of my first line team leaders was a follower of my blog. However, the vast, vast, vast majority of my customers and my hosts have come from me going out and starting with my own friends and family, and then, meeting people and going through the same steps that most other consultants do. In fact, I have chatted with lots of other bloggers, and we have discovered that for many of us, the parties and things that we held through our blog flopped miserably. And so I don't give a lot of, credence to that, because I had to, find people to host for me and find people to join my team completely aside from that. Don't let that mentality, don't think, these people only get success because they know these people. And I'll also tell you another secret. Very few of my family members ever purchase from me. Very few, and not regularly. And most of my customer base are people that I have never, ever, ever met ever in person. I met them through a party here or a party there. And my most loyal customers, the same thing. I've never met them in person. So Facebook parties have really, really radicalized the ability to be successful in this business. So things started to progress. And my month 1 was November of 2014. And things started to get really, I remember being at my mom's house on Thanksgiving. I went to Virginia to visit her, and I got a message from my team leader, and she said, "Do you realize that you're only $10 in sales away from hitting the month 1 requirements?" And I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh. So I got my phone, and in the middle of Thanksgiving, I ordered a $10 book on my phone to ensure that I got it in before the deadline so that I could hit those month 1 requirements. And then I wondered, how on earth am I going to hit the second month, because I just had the 1 recruit who wasn't going to work at that time, and it was going to be December, which meant I only had about half the month to really work parties before the Christmas shipping deadline. So I scrambled and scrambled. I had a calendar from my parties that I had held before, and I decided to hold a book drive. And then I found a couple more recruits through those parties. I filled my calendar, but then I knew I needed a push. So I organized a book drive, and I ended up raising $1,500 in books for a women's shelter in the area. And that pushed me to my goal for the month. And then I focused my efforts on helping my brand new teammates, and I really focused them on earning their kit refunds. And because it was almost Christmas, it was kind of a little bit easy because people want to shop for books. So we really booked it and booked it and booked it, and we made it. And so on January 1st, 2015, I became a team leader with Usborne Books and More, and I was kind of shocked by it all. And then I really just focused a lot on helping as many members of my team reach their own goals like I met mine, because I never thought that what happened for me could happen, and I was really excited about it. And it was because I could talk about books. I'm not a salesperson. I could never sell leggings, and I could never sell makeup or jewelry or any of that, because there's no way that I'd ever be as passionate about any of that than I would be. I've been a bookworm since I was a child. My uncle used to call me bookhead, so I can talk about books naturally and for a lot. And so it's easy for me to sell them because I don't have to sell them. I can just share why I love them. And I started to promote up the ladder a little bit. And with every recruit that I got, I would share with them my story and why I thought if you want to earn money for your home, then you need to promote. That is the key to making this a career. And I did get really lucky. I have lots of amazing women on my team who really just wanted to shoot for the stars. And so by November of 2015, I actually made it to director. And I think that's 13 months after I joined. But for me, it was kind of this eye-opening moment. And I get emotional sometimes, because the one thing about Usborne, aside from the financial aspect of it or any of that, that has really changed my whole world, is that before that I was a stay-at-home mom, and I love being with my children, and I love being a wife and a mother, but I had kind of lost over the years me. All of my hobbies got pushed to the side. All of my, plans for me pushed to the side because I put my children and my husband first. And Usborne kind of awoke something inside me that made me feel happy to do something for me. My children benefit from the books. They love them. It's like Christmas when a box comes. But I am filling these shelves for them because of what I'm doing. And I am reaching goals because of my efforts. And it's really just been something that has truly, truly, truly been amazing. And so my family went from living in an itty-bitty house and one car, and I'll tell you the truth, we even were sleeping on a box spring and mattress on the floor because we couldn't afford a bed frame. And we would pinch pennies just to grocery shop sometimes. And now, I don't talk numbers, and every time I talk about this I get all teary-eyed, but I don't like to cry in front of people, so I'm going to try to hold it together. But now, I just got my 1099 in the mail, and I'm only 2.5 years into this, but now I earn 3 times more than what my husband does in a year, and that's really amazing. And it's just by sharing these books, which is so easy to do because we love them and they're excellent and we want to put them in children's hands. And I know that if I can do it, then anybody else can. I'm just this meek, relatively quiet person. I know it doesn't seem like that when I'm rambling like this, but this job has opened so many doors, and we are paying off debt. I went to a private college and I had loans out the wazoo, and those are going away. The summer before this past one, my husband had a lot of health problems, and when specialist after specialist came, and we finally were able to figure out what the problem was, and it was determined that he needed surgery, and he had to take 6 weeks off of work to recover. 1 year before that, that would have been unimaginable. 6 weeks of him not working meant 6 weeks of absolutely zero income coming into our home. We were renters. We would have lost our home because we wouldn't have been able to pay our rent. We wouldn't have been able to feed our children. We wouldn't have been able to do anything. He would have had to continue to deal with this problem and keep working because we simply wouldn't have been able to afford to treat him. Just 1 year after that, so July of 2015, he had his surgery, and not only did he take off those 6 weeks to recover, but it didn't even hurt us at all financially. And not only that, when his recovery was done, we went on a week-long vacation. I had a baby last summer, and he took off 2.5 weeks to stay with me. We have 5 children. This was the 5th. With the previous 4, a few days was all he got because we couldn't afford for him to take off because he didn't get paid to. And if you had a baby, you need all the help you can get. And so it was amazing to have my husband home with me for 2.5 weeks after I gave birth, and it didn't hurt us financially. So let me just tell you, this job can do anything for you if you really want it to. No matter who you are, no matter where you've come from, as long as you can determine that you're going to be successful, then you will. And so I just want to, take a minute to share. That was more than a minute, really, but take that time to share with you my own journey. And I hope maybe that's helpful or encouraging to someone. And if you have any questions about anything, I'm pretty much an open book, and you can shoot me a message anytime. I'd be happy to chat with you.